I'd like to introduce my esteemed panelists. Nicole Mario, Head of Customer Insights for North America at LinkedIn, where she is approaching 3 years. How time flies. She is an experienced communications analytics leader with an expertise in translating advanced analytics to communication strategy, building MarTech stacks, and developing optimizing KPI frameworks. Her main focus is on integrated, holistic analysis, bridging insights across all channels to campaigns and strategies. I also have to let you know, and there's 3 of us on the stage here. She's a board member of North America Share for AMAC. For those of you who don't know what AMAC is, it's the International Association for Measurement and Evaluation of Communications. And their event's going to be in June in Vienna of next year, so put that on your calendar. Will Hobson in the middle.
Hello.
VP at Rise at 7.
That's correct.
Love the name, want to know more about that after we have drinks. He's approaching 5 years there. He is digital PR expert with over 10 years experience working with some of the world's largest brands. He leads a team of over 40 experts in search and creative with offices in London, Sheffield, Manchester, and New York. And you moved here most recently, right?
Yeah, 6 months ago. I'm a newbie.
Fantastic. Johnny Bentwood, Global President Data and Analytics at Golan, based in London, where he's also an executive board member and approaching just 7 years at the firm. How time really flies. He has 25 plus years. He was the 50 older that Jack was mentioning, for those of you on that side that didn't know. Experience in communications and working for Fortune 100 clients such as Facebook, Unilever, Heineken, Microsoft, and maybe LinkedIn one day. He is also a creator of pioneering solutions with the ability to transform business to radically improve impact and bottom line. Welcome to all of you. So the first question goes to Nicole. How do you communicate the value of comprehensive metrics to clients who might still be accustomed to traditional measurements like ABEs?
That hit a nerve. So for those who don't know, ABE, add value equivalency, right? And for the most part, I really don't hear it anymore. It's one of these things I hope we've put to bed. I hope it's done. I hope we've moved past it. In case you need help, you can go to amec.org.com and look at the, God, is it 20-something reasons why ABEs don't work? It's there. But I think, one of the ways to explain it is it doesn't make sense. You're essentially using a metric to prove why they can cut budget elsewhere because you're cheaper. That's not how it works. It's not what it means, right? So how do we communicate it is more, what are your true goals? What are you trying to accomplish? As communicators, our job is to change a perception, to change an attitude, to take an act, hopefully inspiring an action. You're not proving that with an ABE. So it's working with them to then define what KPIs they want to look at moving forward.
Johnny, we went about 30 seconds over on that answer, just reminding people 20 words or less on ABEs.
Never. I've done something that's great. It's been replaced now with impressions, which are just as bad. I like to always say, just because you've got 1 billion impressions does not mean 1 billion people impressed. Let's get rid of both.
Thank you. Will, next question for you. What are your biggest challenges in measuring media impact across different platforms, such as earned social, digital, and how do you address them?
I think there's a lot of challenges, but specifically in our industries, we do a lot of SEO, so a lot of what our clients come to us for is for rankings on Google. They want to come because they want to drive traffic, and Google likes to change every 2 minutes. So that's a massive challenge for us, is when new algorithms are released, when new updates are released, it's how do we be able to report the same way, kind of time and time again, and kind of show that value, even though we might have launched an amazing campaign, but then boom, the next day we've been hit with some sort of algorithm. So it is kind of how we actually go through that and adapt, and how we can actually change our kind of reporting whilst also still being able to show value. So I think for us, it's the constant changes and the constant adaptation, especially to new media, like when new channels come in, like TikTok, like how are we actually going to report to that? So although we try to keep things consistent, it can constantly change. So yeah, definitely there's changing challenges.
Nicole, would you like to add to that?
So I think when we're thinking about the media landscape, it is always going to change. I think we heard Jack say, you want to put your audience at the center, right? So I became obsessed with really our job is to understand who these people are. No one is gonna most people aren't gonna naturally go to your brand. You have to find a way to intercept them, right? So doing the research on your audience and where they're spending the time, what they care about, then informs your measurement plan and informs your framework of what do I need to know, what do I need to be aware of. Now, let's be honest, it's not the easiest to find some of this stuff in this data, but there are ways that you then can qualitatively find it. There's are ways you can be honest with your senior leadership of what you can look at. But if you put the audience at the center and attach it to a true business goal that you're looking to, again, perception you're changing, action you're hoping to change, if you're trying to get to impact, you can start building out from that. What do you actually care about? You know, I still see X or Twitter on a lot of things, but the audience isn't there. So why are we reporting on a ton of impressions for something that the audience isn't there anymore?
Johnny, next question for you. How do you strike a balance between qualitative insights, such as sentiment and tone, and quantitative data, such as reach and engagement, in your media measurement strategies?
Okay, so I'm going to try and get a bit more practical here and give you a few things that work for me. I don't know how many people do reports, and every single report has the same metrics: reach, engagement, sentiment, stuff like this. Every single one. I was like, why are you doing this? Because each one of those metrics have a different objective. If I want to try and reach a huge audience, try to increase awareness, the first step of the journey, then reach across my tier 1 audiences is great. If I want to be able to look at consideration, the second step of the journey, then engagement is a pretty good metric. If the third step of the journey is affinity, how people feel about you, then I look at sales. I do every single metric together. At worst, you may be lucky. But what typically happens is by trying to push everything, you achieve nothing. Figure out what stage of the journey you are at in awareness, consideration, affinity, purchase, and advocacy, and then pick the metrics that determine success in that part. Don't just pick every single vanilla metric every single time. Otherwise, we're going to do the wrong job. Pick the KPIs that will hit the outcome that you're after.
Nicole, I know you have to add to that.
So many thoughts. But I think part of it too is the journey is critical. Like there's different metrics for each one. I think the mistake a lot of times we fall into is what's the quick metric or what's the moment in time metric. Again, our job as communicators is usually changing something or creating action over time. So at LinkedIn with our think tank, we have the 95-5 rule. Anybody here? All right, good. Go to the B2BI, the B2B Institute, and check that out. But essentially it's saying at any given time, only 5% of your target audience is in market for your product. So if you're only doing metrics about what's going on right at that moment, you're measuring your entire success based off that 5% of people. So we really like to flip that funnel to the side and think about even your CFO. If you want a seat at the table, you're trying to prove to your CFO the importance of what you do, they're thinking about future revenue. If you're only thinking about it at the moment in time, you're thinking about current audience, not future audience, not what you're impacting long term. So as we're thinking about metrics, we need to be thinking of it qualitatively is how are you thinking about moment in time? How are you also thinking about long term to prove to the people that you are trying to get a seat at the table with that you understand the business, you understand what that long term is, and building out your plan there.
Yeah,
Johnny.
I've got a problem with this.
Bring it.
That's why I separated them.
I know we said we weren't going to do this, but look, my clients always say to me, give me the ROI. And I love it when Jack says, show me the outcomes, but I can count on one hand the amount of times I've been given sales data. It just doesn't happen. So back in the real world, I'm trying to show how I'm going to show outcomes and validating it. Because it's great to say, your future growth, your future opportunity is going to be amazing. They're going to say, well, did this campaign work?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not selling dreams, I'm selling practicalities.
Well, I think you could say
30 seconds.
But I think, I agree with him. I mean, let's be honest, we all want to solve world peace, and we can't. But I think what we've done is we're able to say, hey, the campaign for people in the moment, so we've heard this with tier 1 kind of audiences, but like in the moment, the people, your current buyers, here's what success you've had. The people who are going to need to buy from you 10 years from now, here's the success you've had. So I agree, it's sometimes the language that you're using. So instead of just saying in general, you hit tier 1, it could be tier 1 is made up of X, your future tier 1, because we know that that's where your future audience, like we had a customer that their future buyers all came from consultancies, but they were only pitching people who worked in tech at a certain level. The consultancy people had no idea who they were by the time they showed up, where they'd be a buyer. So we started showing them, hey, your share of voice among them is very low. Share of voice among these people, high, and that helped us tell the story. But I agree, you have to find a simple way to make sure they can hear you for the now.
Well, over to you. How do you use technology to enhance the accuracy and relevance of your media measurement?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, I like money. So I'd like to see how much money I'm making from my clients. So we use a lot of tools, mainly kind of GA, what we're looking at, and how our coverage has actually driven demand. A lot of the time, our clients will come to us because they want to increase sales. So from us, it's how can we make sure that our PR performance is also being able to be measured from a performance perspective. So how much revenue can we drive from this campaign? How can we review in terms of rankings that we're increasing for our clients? Traffic that then is going to in turn to revenue. So for me, it's really important about using tools like GA, kind of looking at that performance and how you can kind of really evaluate what you're doing with money, because everyone wants that.
So Nicole, we'll ask this question to you first, and then Chani can answer back, and then I'll give you 30 seconds if you want. For well-known brands, what are the best KPIs to use?
So kind of what Johnny was saying, there is, for the most part, there's not one KPI that you should always work. You want to start with, the business goal and go from there. But one thing that we've developed at LinkedIn is something called dwell time. And one of the reasons we did this is because the criticality of attention and also making sure that you are top of mind. So meaning, if you are not top of mind for someone when they enter their buying journey, whether they're walking into a store, whether it's a longer B2B thing, you're not even on the consideration set. And the best way to increase that is that you increase attention. We've done quite a few studies that the higher the attention, the higher the sales eventually is. And to do that is also through quality creative. So when we're thinking about metrics, it's making sure you're getting that quality view that is creating memorability, it's creating that memory. And so dwell time is something that we've been working on and pretty excited about.
Chani, KPIs? Anything having to do with emotions or anything?
It does, and it pains me to also say this, but I agree with you. I think 12 times a really good metric. I'm going to answer this way by asking everyone here first, and I want to put the points. I'd like you to put your hands up if you like dogs. Good, I approve. Keep your hands up if you get so excited about a dog, if one walks in, you'd stop looking at me and look at the dog. Okay, what about cats? Who dislikes cats? Dislikes. Who hates cats? So, apart from me understanding that some of you have a real cat-dog problem, there's something that I've learned, which is there's a world of difference between like and love, dislike and hate. Now, the question that Todd asked was, when a brand is well known, what are the best KPIs? Now, let's say we're talking about a Coke on the floor there. If a Coke came to me and said, we want to do a campaign, and I say, well, we're going to do an awareness campaign, that's bonkers. I mean, why would we do that? Everyone knows Coke exists. Let's do a consideration campaign, next stage of the journey. Yeah, we know what it stands for. It's not about either of those, it's about affinity. It's about how people feel, like, love, dislike, and hate. So when I start using a KPI as net sentiment, it's wrong. It's sort of right, but it's wrong. It's right to measure how people feel, but net sentiment is flawed. And it's flawed because it's binary. It's like or dislike. The thing is, if I had a can of Coke,